It ended even between Arsenal and Manchester City. Gabriel Martinelli lobbing Donnarumma in added time to save a point. Meanwhile, speaking to talkSPORT's Alex Crook, Arsenal boss Mikel Arteta praised the efforts of striker Victor Gyokeres.
He did a lot of good things. I think he was very unfortunate in two situations in front of goal, and the ball doesn't hit him for millimeters. But I think he had a very strong performance today.
It's fair to say that baffled former Watford captain Troy Deeney, who joined Majestic on the final word phone-in.
I understand the manager has to give the striker confidence, but he just described Jacarez as having a strong performance today. What? You know when Ten Hag was at Man United and he used to just lie to us that it's a good performance? Like we watched the game, we seen it. Again, as an ex-striker, I'm always going to look towards what the strikers do. How can you say he had a strong performance?
Joining us in the studio to discuss that and all things Arsenal, presenter, content creator, a huge Arsenal fan, Joel Beya. Morning, Joel.
Morning, Joel.
Morning. How you doing, guys? You okay?
Yeah,
well, brilliant. Mate,
look,
brilliant.
We have to start with that, really, the Victor Gyokeres stuff. I mean, I think Troy's a bit harsh to say he never scores in the big games. He hasn't had many big games, has he, to prove himself? You can't help, though, in a game like that, can you, but to compare and contrast Haaland with Jacarez, unfair as it may be.
I mean, to start off with Troy, I'm with Troy for once, you know, like I don't say that often, but I think he's spot on. And he's right. Victor does need to be doing it in the big games. Essentially, that's why we bought him. People will say, oh, no, it's for the smaller teams. No, it's for these games. This is why you buy the Gyokereses or the EZEs, to unlock these, to get us over the line. And I do think he's right. I think Mikel's probably, his head's frazzled and he's, you know, saying whatever he needs to say to keep the spirits up. And no, I don't think he had a great game, if I'm honest with you. And you're right, when you look at Haaland, who is an absolute sensational beast, and you look at Victor, I know who I would rather have in the team, but there you go, you know.
It's funny, Joel, looking at it, because naturally, as Jeff says, because of the way they are, the way the two strikers are, we probably unfairly at this stage do make comparisons. The one thing I would say, I think you're spot on. I think Troy's got it right. The one thing Mikel Arteta is doing, he's been asked about his centre forward. He is never at this stage going to criticise him. He's probably went a little bit too far the other way, you know, but you can understand it, no?
Yeah, no, because he doesn't want to kill his confidence and he doesn't need anybody on his back at the moment. But that doesn't take away from the fact that, I'll be honest with you, Ali, I looked at him and I thought, you're always going to get the goals against the Leedses, the Nottingham Foresters, all respect to them. But these are the games, isn't it? When you're playing against Diaz, when you're playing against, you know, like the top centre-backs, that's where we want to see you. And it's funny because I've spoken to a few players, ex-pros, and they look and they go, oh, he might struggle in the big games. And not even Troy. Not only has Troy said it, but I've spoken to a few people, and so far they're right.
Adams texted and said, look, Victor didn't have a good game. He had no service at all. And that was down to Arteta playing with the handbrake on, which brings us round to the other big talking point, Joel, and that was the team selection. How surprised were you by what Mikel started with?
Not only surprised, I was startled, if I'm honest with you, because I didn't expect to see Trossard start. I did not expect to see Eze on the bench, especially because Odegaard's out. Correct me if I'm wrong, Ali, but this is the opportunity to take advantage and use Eze for his creativeness, right?
Well, do you know the one thing I would say? I'll ask you, Joe, interesting enough, I've watched Arsenal a couple of times this season, excuse me, and I was over in Bilbao. And Eze started on the left-hand side. Now, I'd be a little bit concerned about him out there, mate, right? So I think his wide men will obviously be between, whether it's Trossard, Martinelli and Saka. I think you've got to get Eze in the pitch, whether it's in the three, behind the front three, or in a more central role as a 10 or whatever it may be. Me personally, I don't think you're going to get the benefit from Eze out in a wide position, particularly in the left-hand side. So I think if Arteta is going to play him, and I think he will, I think he's got to play him in a more central position.
You know,
and he probably, you know, hindsight's the greatest thing in the world. He probably should have started, yes.
I have to disagree with you to a certain extent with that, you know, Ali, because yes, I agree his best work is within the central areas. We all know that. We've all seen it. But Look at him against Nottingham Forest. You know, look at the assist that he gave Victor Gyokeres against Forest. That came from the left-hand side. Brilliant ball inside. All Victor had to do was tap it in. The crime there was to not start him at all. When I saw Trossard start, I thought, come on. We all know Trossard's a better impact player. You know, of course, people say, oh, that's Martinelli's job. We've only just discovered that. We all know that Trossard is better coming off the bench. And this is why we've bought him. We've spent 60-odd million on him for the big games, not to have him on the bench. You know, I thought Madueke had a good half. He was probably the only one that could hold his head up high. But I just reckon Eze should have started, whether it be in the middle, primary position, or on the left.
Yeah. Jake's texted and said, Eze has to play in the middle. But look, it begs the question is, where does that leave Martin Odegaard when he is fit? You know, it's a difficult situation, I think that is for sure.
But that's the whole point. This is why you have big squads.
Yeah.
You don't see Chelsea complaining about that or Man City when they're on song. You have to bring in the competition. And when these players have been brought in to get us over the line, and I kind of think that we're there admiring the bench, going, this is a beautiful bench. But the reality is those players should have been playing.
Yeah.
See, the beauty of it, guys, the beauty of it is this, right? See, when you're a club like Liverpool, Arsenal, City, you absolutely must have 18, 19, 20 players if you're going to compete in every competition at the top level. But it opens the discussion. I mean, for example, look at Liverpool, Jeff, and Joel at the weekend. They don't start Isak.
Yeah.
In the Wednesday night, they're leaving a World Cup winner on the bench. These are all brilliant talking points for us and fans.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that. You know, the fact that you've got players that are performing and you can sit down Isak, it means that even though he's been bought for a record number, he knows that he has to work hard to break into the team.
Yeah.
I mean, the difference is obviously that Liverpool have got 5 points more than Arsenal now,
there you go.
Which is a concern at the moment, isn't it? And bear that in mind, that Arsenal's next league game is away at Newcastle. We already I was going to say must win, but daren't lose at St James's Park.
Look, you don't want to go up to St James's Park and lose at this point of the season, no. But I have to say, I've been looking at the fixture list, and I have seen that we have a harder start than Liverpool, whereas their last 6 games, is much more difficult. So I guess we just have to really power through. It's really difficult to completely, side with the league table at this point because Man City have the same points as Manchester United. Teams
Joe,
on. Is that
Joe, your first 6 games, mate? Your first 6 games, you're going to have played Manchester United, Liverpool, Manchester City, and Newcastle.
Exactly.
So I think everybody needs to calm down a wee bit here.
Yeah, no, I agree. I do. Don't get me wrong. I don't like the 5-point gap already. Because I don't see us as a team that's really good. I've never seen us come from behind and chase teams down, and even during our bestest of times. So. That is a little bit of a concern. But at the same time, I remember a couple seasons ago when Jamie O'Hara was getting excited because Spurs were doing well in November, and we all know how that ended, So I reckon it's still time to calm down and put the handbrakes on like Mikel did on Sunday.
Spoken like a true gooner. Got to get the dig at Tottenham in while you've got the chance. Joel, thanks very much, mate.
Thanks,
Cheers,
mate.
Nice
Cheers,
to see
mate.
you again.
Bye-bye.
talkSPORT Breakfast, waking you up Monday to Friday morning from 6 a.m. on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.